Part 4. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 31. Hokage Office. Uchihasuke isn't paying attention to what happens next to meet Hokkaido Homura and Yudatan Koharu. After the two of them left, Uchihasuke pushed away the messy files on the desktop. He left the Hokage building in a flash and appeared in front of Kusuna's room door. Before leaving Konoha, every time Uchihasuke appears at this door, he always feels guilty for no reason and is afraid of being discovered. However, now he came to the door of this room openly. Hearing the sound of the key turning, Kusuna immediately looked in the direction of the door, and then her eyes lit up. G, is it G? Kusuna quickly stood up and came out of the bedroom. But when Kusuna saw the door slowly opening, Kusuna subconsciously slowed down and straightened her clothes, her eyes full of anticipation. The next second, a figure that Kusuna had missed for a long time appeared in front of her. However, Kusuna didn't have time to speak. The mangekyo that made her more familiar appeared in Uchihasuke's eyes. Godly body. Normally, it is not suitable to write during the first trimester of pregnancy. However, Uchihasuke suddenly remembered that this is the Hokage ninja world. Kusuna is a powerful ninja in her own right. She also has the blood of the Uzumaki clan. Her vitality is extremely tenacious. It is definitely not comparable to ordinary ninjas, let alone ordinary people. Even buying anti-fetal medicine before was unnecessary. These days, Uchihasuke and Orochimaru are on the go. Now that he has reached the pinnacle of power in Konoha, the ambition in his heart is no less than when the memory just woke up and opened the Mangekyo Sharingan. Now, Uchihasuke just wants to do what he wants to do. You bastard! This is what happened when we first met. Kusuna's eyes were full of resentment, she thought faintly. Actually, no matter what you do to me, you don't need to control me. But Kusuna soon fell into the warm embrace of Uchihasuke. At this moment, Kusuna also thought about it for a long time. The moment she met Uchihasuke, all the worries in her heart disappeared. I don't know how much time passed, but the sun set outside the window and the moon rose. The leaves of Konoha looked particularly quiet under the stars in the sky. Are you not afraid of Hokage-sama this time? Kusuna looked at Uchihasuke fiercely and wanted to bite him. She was full of worries about Uchihasuke's safety. Who would have thought that Uchihasuke had these things on his mind? Just now he didn't say a word and directly controlled her. At the same time, Kusuna's eyes were also full of curiosity. In the past, Uchihasuke would leave immediately after finishing writing. Although Uchihasuke never elaborated, Kusuna knew what he was worried about. Because she is the Jinchuriki of Nine Tails and is the core strategic force of Konoha. Hokage. Why should I be afraid of Hokage? Uchihasuke lay leisurely on the bed. If you weren't afraid, why did you leave every time before? If you were really not afraid, you would have spent the night at my place. Kusuna rolled her eyes at Uchihasuke. This is not something I want to keep. I asked you to let me stay. Are you really not afraid anymore? Haha, scared. Of course I'm not scared anymore. Not only that, I will live here from today on. Are you crazy? It will be over when we are discovered. After Kusuna finished speaking, she seemed to feel that what she said was wrong, and added with a blush. Don't look at me like that. I don't care about you, I just don't want my child to have no father in the future. That would be too pitiful. Uchihasuke didn't speak. He was not stupid. When he met Kusuna this time, he quickly discovered the difference in Kusuna. In the past, Kusuna always treated him indifferently, but this time she was much more enthusiastic. Later, Uchihasuke even let go of the control of the godly body. Not to mention that Uchihasuke discovered Kusuna's changes in mentality long ago through the emotion collection system. The prompts from the emotion collection system this time prove this point. Collect Kusuna's happy, joyful, happy, and worried emotions. The total emotional value this time is 6,200 points, and the current cumulative emotional value is 118,800 points. Hatred and hatred have long since disappeared, replaced by happiness and worry. Don't worry, our child will not be without a father. Uchihasuke smiled. Then do you still dare to be so bold here? Are you really not afraid of Hokage-sama finding out? And how did you become Orochimaru's subordinate? You don't have to take risks for me. As long as I don't tell, no one will find out about our relationship. Kusuna had a determined look on her face. She was ready to endure anything a person could endure. Anyway, she is Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, and Konoha can't do anything to her. As long as she didn't tell anyone, no one would know that the father was Uchihasuke. At most, I'm sorry Namikaze Minato. If we talk about the last time Kusuna and Namikaze met on the water, Kusuna was still confused and didn't understand. Well, now she has understood her intention. She and Namikaze Minato are, just friends. And her man is one and only Uchihasuke. No matter how many difficulties there are during this period, she will face them bravely. Kusuna, are you asking me to eat soft food? What can we do? I am the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki of Konoha. From now on, I will protect you in Konoha. Please stop being Orochimaru's subordinate, okay? Haha, our Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, have you forgotten the time to be dominated by me now? You still have to cover me. Kusuna was furious, especially when she thought about the scene when she first met Uchihasuke. Uchihasuke was so crazy back then. Who knows how you did it, but I learned from your sister that you are just a Chunin, or the kind of Chunin that you become through relationships. Let Hokage know about our relationship, and he will definitely give you a little hat. Who sent you to the front line? You might die quietly on the battlefield one day. Kusuna has more contact with Sarutobi Hiruzen and knows that Sarutobi Hiruzen is not as kind as he appears. Especially when Grandma Mito was still alive, she had seen the dark side of Konoha. Looking at Kusuna chattering in his arms, Uchihasuke felt warm in his heart. Kusuna, are you worried about me? Asking for flowers. Everyone, please give me flowers. There are also recommendation tickets and monthly tickets. Come here. The author is so pitiful that he is crazy. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, cat on the list. Chapter 32. Worrying about you, who would worry about you? Kusuna was furious when she heard it. Haha, Uchihasuke just smiled without exposing Kusuna, hugging Kusuna and changing the topic. Don't worry, Master Hokage won't say anything. After all, I am now Hokage's assistant. Assistant Hokage? Is there such a position in Konoha? Kusuna's curiosity was aroused. It didn't exist before, but now it does. Assistant Hokage will assist Hokage in completing all tasks. Aren't these things the job of the elders? Will the elders allow you to be the Hokage assistant? Besides, I remember you are Orochimaru's subordinate. Sarutobi Hiruzen is the third Hokage. How could he agree to let you be the Hokage's assistant? The third generation does disagree, but the fourth Hokage does not necessarily agree. The fourth generation Hokage, Kusuna was even more confused when she heard this. Why is she worried that her affair with Uchihasuke will be discovered? Isn't it because the current Hokage is Sarutobi Hiruzen of the third generation? Looking at the trends, Namikaze Minato is likely to become the future fourth Hokage. After their relationship is discovered, Uchihasuke will definitely offend them both. In that case, Uchihasuke will definitely have a hard time living in Konoha. But what did Kusuna think of in the next second? An incredible thought appeared in her mind, and Kusuna looked at Uchihasuke in shock. Could it be that the fourth Hokage is Orochimaru? Kusuna immediately denied herself after speaking. No way, this is absolutely impossible. How could Orochimaru become a Hokage? Uchihasuke just looked at Kushina and didn't speak. As time passed, Kushina looked at the smile on the corner of Uchihasuke's mouth, and the impossible idea in her mind became more and more profound. At the same time, Kushina's heart is also full of questions. Isn't Orochimaru really the fourth Hokage? What happened? How did Orochimaru become the Hokage? How did Uchihasuke become Hokage's assistant? Through the description of Uchihasuke just now, Kushina understands how much power the Hokage assistant has. Especially with Orochimaru's character. This Hokage assistant can be directly called the deputy Hokage. Hokage in everything except not being Hokage in name. Uchihasuke didn't admit or deny it. He just looked at Kushina's dazed look and found it funny, so he pinched the tip of Kushina's nose. Then, Uchihasuke lay on his back on the bed, looked at the ceiling, and said leisurely. As for the elders, they have too much time to take care of themselves right now. Early in the morning on the second day, Uchihasuke is well dressed and ready to leave from Kushina. Orochimaru became the master and took the sealed book to study the forbidden technique in preparation for the next battle with Uchiha Madara. All the work related to Hokage is all on him. Although most of the events can be ignored, Uchihasuke still has many things to be busy with. However, just when Uchihasuke opened the door and was about to leave, two unexpected figures appeared in front of Uchihasuke. It looked like they had just arrived and were about to knock on the door. Mitarashi Anko. However, Uchihasuke didn't care. After seeing the two of them, Uchihasuke smiled and said hello, then turned back and shouted into the room. Kushina, if Hong and Anko are looking for you, I won't close the door and leave first. I won't come back at noon and I'll come back at night. After saying this, Uchihasuke smiled again at Anko and Kurane, and then left. During the whole process, Kurane and Anko were confused, like wooden figures, watching Uchihasuke's back disappearing at the end of the corridor little by little. Sister Hong, did I read correctly just now? A man came out of Sister Kushina's room. You read that right, because, I saw it too, but, that person is not Minato. Sister Kurane, I know her. He is Uchihasuke, a subordinate of Mr. Orochimaru. Is that, the newly appointed Hokage assistant? Yes, that's him. Teacher Orochimaru trusts him very much. Anko was a little unconvinced. She originally thought she was Master Orochimaru's favorite disciple, but unexpectedly, Uchihasuke suddenly appeared. Every time she saw Uchihasuke and Orochimaru talking and laughing happily, she felt as if Uchihasuke had taken Orochimaru's teacher away from her. It's just that she didn't expect to see Uchihasuke at Sister Kushina's place today. It seemed like they were very familiar with each other. After Kushina heard Uchihasuke's shout, she ran out of the house with messy hair. When I came out, I saw Hong and Anko at the door, and a look of embarrassment flashed across my face. She was so happy to see Uchihasuke yesterday that she almost forgot that she had an invitation with Anko and Kurane today, and they had agreed to go out for dinner and shopping together today. Red, Anko, I said it was just an accident. Do you believe it? Kurane and Anko came back to their senses and looked at Kushina. At this time, Kushina was not wearing any clothes and was drowsy. Even though they were still young girls, they could vaguely guess what might have happened last night. For a moment, they felt that Namikaze Minato's head was a little green. Anko even pouted and said, Sister Kushina, do you think we are fools? Kushina smiled awkwardly, actually, I can explain it. Kushina, you'd better explain than prepare to lie to us. Hong is older than Anko and knows more. When looking at Kushina, there was obviously something else in her eyes. In recent days, many things have happened in Konoha, the most significant event being Orochimaru suddenly becoming the fourth Hokage and the sudden rise of Uchihasuke. Kushina, you better hurry up and get ready to go out. Mikoto is already waiting for us at the location. Kushina immediately. Kaido, I know, just wait for me, I'll be fine soon. Kusina placed Anko and Hong in the living room and quickly returned to the bedroom. Back in the room, Kusina looked at herself with a blushing face in the mirror, feeling ashamed. How could he face Hong and Anko so calmly? Even if I'm not afraid of being discovered, but, it's so embarrassing. Until Kusina, Hong, and Anko left home and came to the street. Kusina's mind is still confused. 200 recommendation votes plus updates. There are now 236 recommended votes, and the distance to 300 is very fast. Everyone, please dot your hands. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 33. Commercial Street. Mikoto held Uchiha Itaka's hand and waited at the reserved seat. After seeing three figures with different styles, Uchiha Itaka stood up obediently. Sister Hong, Sister Anko, Sister Kusina, good morning. Itaka, you are so cute, my sister will treat you to some meatballs later. Anko was extremely happy, someone finally called him sister. Itaka glanced at Anko with disdain. He actually didn't want to call Anko sister, because Anko was not much older than him, but his mother was by his side. During this time, his mother stayed with him, making him feel her mother's care. He cherishes her very much, so he will do everything his mother asks him to do, even if he doesn't want to do it. Kurane is also extremely interested in Uchiha Itaka, who is cute but likes to pretend to be an adult. Seeing Anko playing with Itaka, his eyes filled with smiles. After a while, the group sat down. After seeing Kusina, Uchiha Mikoto said to Kusina. Kusina, didn't you ask me where Suke went before? Suke is back now, and he has become the Hokage assistant for some reason. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to mention that Orochimaru-sama has become the fourth Hokage. Mikoto knew that Kusina didn't have many friends in Konoha and spent most of her time at home. So after Mikoto knew this information, he came to tell Kusina immediately. Even though she doesn't know why Kusina is looking for Uchiha Suke. Unexpectedly, Kusina did not behave abnormally. Instead, Anko jumped up and stood up after hearing this. Sister Mikoto, Sister Kusina have known about it for a long time. Today I saw Uchiha Suke coming out of Kusina's house. After Anko finished speaking, he showed a mysterious expression. Not only that, Uchiha Suke also said that he will return to Kusina's sister's house tonight. When Kusina heard Anko speak, she wanted to cover her mouth, but it was too late. After hearing this, Uchiha was stunned. Anko, is the Uchiha Suke you are talking about the Uchiha Suke I know? Anko was puzzled, are there two more Uchiha Suke? At this moment, Mikoto just felt dizzy. The amount of information just now was a bit too much. Kurane followed up with the last hit, as far as I know, there's only one Uchiha Suke in Konoha. Kusina lowered her head in embarrassment. She suddenly felt like meeting her parents. However, she bravely admitted it with a soft voice. Mikoto, as you can see, Suke is Suke. Mikoto's face was full of disbelief. I treat you as my best friend, but you want to be my younger brother and sister. Kusina, what about Namikaze Minato? When Kusina heard this, she immediately looked up at Mikoto with a serious look on her face. Mikoto, Namikaze Minato, and I are just friends. Don't say that again in the future. I'm afraid it will cause misunderstanding. Uchiha Mikoto originally just asked casually, but he didn't expect Kusina to answer so solemnly. Anko and Kurane seemed to have expected Kusina to say this, because they had already seen the relationship between Kusina and Uchiha Suke this morning. Sorry, Kusina, I didn't mean it like that, I was just a little shocked by the relationship between you and Suke. Mikoto felt a little dazed. Her memory of Ji still stayed when Ji was a child. However, Everyone's attention was soon attracted by Anko's voice. Sister Kurane, look at Itaka. Why do I always feel that Itaka looks similar to Suke, but he looks a little less like Uchiha Fugaku? Anko, don't talk nonsense. Didn't Sister Mikoto tell us before that Uchiha Suke's grandfather and Uchiha Fugaku's grandfather are brothers? The blood relationship between them is not far away. Isn't it normal to look alike? Uchiha Mikoto didn't take it seriously, but looked at Uchiha Itachi seriously. What Anko said, I really feel that Itachi is very similar to Suke when he was a child, especially those eyes. It's just that Suke was much more naughty than Itachi when he was a child. Sister Mikoto, tell us more about your childhood. Anko herself was not interested in Uchiha Suke, but Uchiha Suke robbed her of her teacher's love. Anko thinks this is a good opportunity to find out the details of Uchiha Suke. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win every battle. She wants to regain her teacher from Uchiha Suke. Kusina was also very interested when she heard this. She wanted to know more about it. Kurane was the most indifferent, but seeing that everyone present was interested in Uchiha Suke, she couldn't help but feel a little curious about Uchiha Suke. Logically speaking, Uchiha Suke is just an ordinary Chunin. Why did he suddenly become Orochimaru's subordinate? Now he has become Hokage's assistant and the most powerful person in Konoha. Even her father commented, don't offend Uchiha Suke in the future. Although she didn't understand why her father said that. However, she actually saw a trace of fear in her father's eyes. Uchiha Suke, is it scary? Suke's childhood was indeed very interesting. Since everyone wants to know, I will tell you about Suke's childhood, Uchiha Mikoto said leisurely. At the same time, Hokage building. Uchiha Suke just entered the office. I discovered that Orochimaru was also in the house. One update will be added for every 10 book reviews, and one update will be added to the book review of this chapter. It doesn't matter whether you criticize the author or praise him. There are currently 107 book reviews and 9 more are due. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 34. Orochimaru, are you ready? Uchiha Suke was a little surprised. Only one day had passed, and Orochimaru had already completed Impure World reincarnation? Orochimaru digs graves very quickly. Uchiha Suke said, sitting on the Hokage seat naturally. Orochimaru was not in the Hokage seat, just sitting on the couch. Uchiha Suke suspected more than once that Orochimaru was not sitting in the Hokage seat because he just didn't want to face the table of official documents. To be honest, those official documents are really annoying and very time-consuming to process. Although there has been some progress, it is not enough. And didn't Mr. G also tell me that those underground people will not leave for a while? I came to see Mr. G today because of other matters. Orochimaru, just say it. While chatting with Orochimaru, Uchiha Suke opened the official document at the top of the desktop and started looking at it. Who would have thought that the first document made Uchiha Suke speechless? The people of Konoha village sued the Konoha guards for violent law enforcement. The following documents are all trivial matters. For example, who has a dispute with whose family, who has stepped on whose flowers and plants, etc. Originally, in Uchiha Suke's eyes, Hokage was a high-ranking position, but after sitting on it, he realized that Hokage was just like a large nanny. No wonder Naruto didn't even have time to go back home after becoming Hokage. Uchiha Suke simply threw the document away and stopped reading. It's about the war. Orochimaru placed a document in front of Uchiha Suke. Uchiha Suke held it in his hand and quickly read through the information on the document. Reinforcements from Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen join. Konoha's front line form with Rock Shinobi and Cloud Shinobi is much better. Even if Rock Shinobi and Cloud Shinobi were combined, it would be difficult to attack Konoha. Sand Shinobi Village still has more than enough to offer. However, Mist Ninja Village is different. After learning that Rock Shinobi Village and Cloud Shinobi Village were aggressively attacking Konoha, Kiri Shinobi Village finally couldn't hold it any longer and took frequent actions. There is a possibility of attacking Konoha in the near future. Although Orochimaru wanted to be a hands-off shopkeeper and immerse himself in researching forbidden technique. But when it comes to the life and death of Konoha, he can also distinguish the importance. A complete and strong Konoha can better support his research. After all, forbidden technique research is extremely expensive. Orochimaru was a little worried that Uchiha couldn't handle it alone. After all, at this time, Konoha's power is extremely empty, there are only a handful of people available, and there is a shortage of people everywhere. Uchiha put down the file and did not speak immediately, but looked up at Orochimaru. After a moment of silence, Uchiha said calmly, "Orochimaru, do you believe me?" Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, and then immediately understood the meaning of Uchiha words, and the worry in his eyes disappeared instantly. Orochimaru smiled and said, "Ji-kun, I apologize to you. If you need my help, you can go to the research institute to find me." After Orochimaru finished speaking, he stood up and left without waiting for Uchiha to answer. Uchiha is not surprised at all by Orochimaru's straightforwardness. Orochimaru is a person who doesn't like to talk nonsense. Now that he leaves directly, he has shown Orochimaru's attitude. At the same time, this was also what they had decided before. Orochimaru is in the shadow, but all the power is given to Uchiha. What Uchiha needs to do is to provide maximum support for Orochimaru's research. However, Uchiha also knew that Orochimaru showed up with good intentions this time, so he was not angry. After Orochimaru left, Uchiha lowered his head and focused his eyes on the documents in front of him. Then, Uchiha wrote a few words on the document. Might die, Kakashi, might guy. Kiri Shinobi Village is different from Rock Shinobi Village and Cloud Shinobi Village. The Mist Ninja Village implements a strategy of elite soldiers, and the number of ninjas is actually not many, especially since there have been signs of blood mist in recent years. The biggest threat to Konoha in the Mist Ninja Village is the 7 ninja swordsmen. As long as Might opens the 8th gate, one person can defeat the 7 ninja swordsmen. So the Mist Blade seems to be coming menacingly, but in fact it is nothing more than a paper tiger. Uchiha had already called Might Dai, Kakashi, and Might Guy back from the front line yesterday. He prepared to lead the team himself and lead the 3 men to the front line. Think for a moment. Uchiha pressed a doorbell on the table. Ding. The next second, a ninja wearing an animal mask appeared in the office. Assistant Hokage. Go and invite Uchiha Fugaku, the leader of the Uchiha clan, and Hyuga Hayashi, the leader of the Hyuga clan. Although there are not many ninjas in Mist Ninja Village, they are not without them. The Umbu who are currently staying in Konoha are already stuck at the limit of the number of people, and they are all trustworthy people. Uchiha does not intend to use them on the front line. Not long after, Uchiha Fugaku and Hyuga Hayashi appeared in Hokage's office. After Umbu brought the person, a body flicker technique left. Uchiha Fugaku's eyes were very complicated. He fantasized more than once about when the Uchiha clan would return to the top of Konoha. Unexpectedly, one day, Uchiha did it. But this result made him very surprised. The complexity in Hyuga Hayashi's eyes is no less complex than that of Uchiha Fugaku. The sky in Konoha seemed to have changed in an instant, becoming something he didn't quite recognize. What's even more incredible is that the most powerful person in Konoha is actually a boy of 16 or 17 years old. Chief Fugaku, please call me Assistant Hokage, Uchiha said. Uchiha Fugaku was stunned for a moment, but did not refuse. He who knows the current affairs is a hero. Before yesterday no one took Uchiha seriously, or in other words no one cared. However, what happened to Mito Kato Homura and Yudatan Koharu caused everyone in the family to have a completely different perception of Uchiha. None of them wanted to become the next Mito Kato Homura and Yudatan Koharu. Assistant Hokage, I wonder what you want from us. Uchiha Fugaku doesn't like Uchiha Suke, and Uchiha Suke doesn't like Uchiha Fugaku either. As a member of the Uchiha clan, he naturally doesn't have a good impression of Hyuga Hayashi. There is only one thing I have come to you for this time. The Uchiha clan, except for retaining a small number of members of the Konoha guard to maintain law and order, the other ninjas will gather in the Death Forest tomorrow morning. After Uchiha Suke finished speaking, he turned to look at Hyuga Hayashi. Hyuga clan, I ask you to also send ninjas. I don't care whether you send clan or branch house, but I ask that the number of ninjas should not be less than half of the Uchiha clan. Assistant Hokage, isn't this inappropriate? We, the Hyuga clan, don't have many ninjas to begin with. Unlike the Uchiha clan, which has a big business, if we use half the number of ninjas of the Uchiha clan, I'm afraid it will be difficult and the clan will disagree. When Uchiha Fugaku saw Hyuga Hayashi forcefully take the lead, he naturally shut up. He wanted to see how Uchiha Suke would respond. The two of them are the heads of the largest and second largest families in Konoha, so they are naturally aware of the recent trends in the ninja world. When Uchiha Suke called them over, they knew that Uchiha Suke was fighting for the Mist Ninja Village. They also understand the importance of things. It's just that if Uchiha Suke doesn't pay something and just let them send people casually, it's absolutely impossible. Uchiha Suke was not surprised at all. He leaned on his seat and looked at the two of them playfully. Of course there are benefits, if you follow my request and send people. I will reward you with a way to survive. What do you think? Thank you everyone for the flowers, hereby add more. There will be more than 18,099 flowers tomorrow, and we will continue to add more. Please give me flowers, please give me flowers. If there is anything that is not well written, please give us feedback in the comment area, and the author will strive to write better. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 35. Hokage Office. Uchiha Suke's voice just fell. Uchiha Fugaku and Hyuga Hayashi's expressions changed. Assistant Hokage, do you think we are the same as Mito Kato Homura and Yudatan Koharu? Hyuga Hayashi narrowed his eyes slightly. Is this what Hokage-sama means? Uchiha Fugaku said solemnly. Why do you have to care about whether it was Hokage's intention? Do you think what happened yesterday was Orochimaru's handiwork? Uchiha Suke said, seemingly answering the question. Hyuga Hayashi paused for a moment, but was not timid and spoke word by word. Assistant Hokage, although we don't know why the fourth Hokage asked you to sit here, the power of the Hokage is not as unscrupulous as you think. The power of the Hokage comes from all the families in Konoha, and these families in Konoha also have corresponding power. Sarutobi Hiruzen has been in control of Konoha for so long, but he has only made some small moves in secret, and on the surface he has to take into account the interests of each family. In other words, Konoha is originally composed of countless families, and countless families form the community of interests of Konoha. Hokage is just the chief of this big family. However, Hyuga Hayashi and Uchiha Fugaku were not too angry. They just think that Uchiha Suke is too young to understand these things. They even thought that Uchiha Suke was brought out by Orochimaru specifically to discuss them. No way, who made Orochimaru suddenly become Hokage's? Everything was too sudden, and Uchiha Suke seemed to jump out of thin air. Chief Hyuga Hayashi, can I think that you are provoking me? Uchiha Suke said frivolously. Provocation, Hyuga Hayashi frowned, but he still didn't take it seriously. Assistant Hokage, I am not provoking you, but what you are doing is unreasonable. Unreasonable? Don't you think, your question just now was not disrespectful to the Hokage? Assistant Hokage, you are just Assistant Hokage, not Hokage. It is true that I am just the Hokage assistant, but are you sure you agreed when I called Orochimaru over? If you think so, I will call Orochimaru over now. Believe me, even in front of Orochimaru, what I said, Orochimaru, there will be no rebuttal either. If Orochimaru doesn't refute, why do you have to refute? Aren't you provoking me? Hyuga Hayashi remained silent, while Uchiha Fugaku watched from the side, wondering about something in his heart. Soon the Hokage office fell into silence. Uchiha Sasuke leaned back on the seat leisurely, looking away from the two of them and looking out the window. From a high position, you can directly overlook the busiest streets of Konoha. Two clan leaders, if it were not me, but second Hokage Senju Tobirama or first Hokage Senju Hashirama who was sitting in the Hokage position today, and they said the same thing, would you still have your current attitude? Hyuga Hayashi and Uchiha Fugaku subconsciously brought the scene into play. Although first generation second generation is a bygone era, the prestige of Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama in the hearts of their big families has not faded. In other words, Konoha still has its current cohesion, which was established by Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama. If it were Senju Hashirama or Senju Tobirama, they wouldn't even have to ask Senju Hashirama. Senju Tobirama would have already taken the initiative to gather with the family ninjas. Not to mention that Hokage personally notified them to send someone, so how could he dare to impose additional conditions? However, the two quickly dismissed the thoughts in their minds. Everything they did was for the family. After Uchiha Sasuke finished speaking, he turned his attention back to Hyuga Hayashi and reiterated again. Now, do you admit that you were provoking me just now? As a member of Konoha, isn't it natural for the Hyuga clan to accept Kage's transfer? Could it be that you want to leave Konoha? Hyuga Hayashi knew he was wrong, but he still insisted on his previous idea. The king is noble and his ministers are noble, the king is light and his ministers are noble. Moreover, Uchiha Sasuke has made it very clear just now. The Hokage back then was Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama, and now, it's Orochimaru and Uchiha Sasuke. They are different in themselves, and the methods of treatment are naturally different. Uchiha Sasuke still had a smile on his face, scratching his fingers on the files on the desktop, and said with meaning. You said that you despised Ying so much, and I, as the spokesperson of Ying, killed you. Does that make sense? You. Hyuga Hayashi's pupils shrank. Are you sure you want to do this? Uchiha Fugaku also frowned. Is this Uchiha Sasuke going to break the jar? Logically speaking, Orochimaru wouldn't be so unreliable, so let's hand over the power to Uchiha Sasuke. Uchiha Fugaku actually doesn't know much about Uchiha Sasuke's character, but he knows what Orochimaru's character is. Orochimaru would never do such a nonsense thing. Uchiha Fugaku doesn't understand where the confidence with Uchiha Sasuke comes from. Simply relying on Orochimaru's support? It's not that I'm sure I want to do this, but is Chief Hyuga Hayashi sure that I want to do this? Speaking of this, Hyuga Hayashi also felt a little more angry. From the beginning, he regressed repeatedly. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Sasuke not only did not stop, but continued to make further progress. The clay figure still has 3 points of fire, not to mention that he is the leader of the second largest family in Konoha. The power they hold in their hands cannot be ignored, and it cannot be compared to Mito Kato Homura and the others. When Orochimaru seized power, they did nothing to help or stop him as bystanders, which does not mean that they supported Orochimaru. It can only be said that what Sarutobi Hiruzen has done over the years has made them feel grudge. That's why he chose to remain silent and do nothing, allowing Orochimaru to board the Hokage. But this does not mean that Orochimaru's Hokage position is stable, it is just Sarutobi Hiruzen's compromise during the war. If the relationship really breaks down and they all support Sarutobi Hiruzen, maybe Orochimaru will become the shortest-lived fourth Hokage in the history of Konoha. It's not impossible that Namikaze Minato will soon become the fifth-generation Hokage. But just when Hyuga Hayashi was about to speak out, he instantly felt that he had lost control of his body, as if all the chakra in his body had disappeared in an instant. At this moment, he could only move his tongue and eyes, and his whole body seemed to be gone. How is this going? Suddenly, Hyaga Hayashi seemed to realize something. Suddenly looked at Uchihasuke. Please give me flowers, please give me flowers, please give me flowers, please give me flowers. There are so few flowers today. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 36. I don't know when, the Sharingan in Uchihasuke's eyes has appeared. The three Megatamas rotated crazily and gradually connected together to form a strange flower pattern. Mangekyo, the godly body. Seeing these eyes, Hyaga Hayashi instantly understood where Uchihasuke's confidence came from. As the Hyaga clan who have always been suppressed by the Uchiha clan, they know the terror of Mangekyo Sharingan better than anyone else. At the same time, Hyaga Hayashi suddenly understood. He finally understood why Mito Kato Homura and Yudatan Koharu accepted their fate without saying a word yesterday, as if they had no temper. It's obviously not that they are spineless, but that they are completely overpowered by Uchihasuke. Subsequently, Hyaga Hayashi also understood why Orochimaru trusted Uchihasuke so much. Since becoming the Hokage, he has never appeared in the Hokage office. Uchihasuke is not a front rower introduced by Orochimaru. Uchihasuke itself is on the same level as Orochimaru. On the other side, Uchiha Fugaku looked at Mangekyo in Uchihasuke's eyes and was also stunned. It turns out, Suke turned on Mangekyo, no wonder. It's just that when did the intermediary open? Could it be that time? Uchiha Fugaku lowered his head and looked at the floor, not daring to look at Uchihasuke. At the same time, Uchiha Fugaku's eyes flashed with unknown emotions. Mangekyo Sharingan, is this the power of Mangekyo? Introduction, it's really brave. After spending a night at Kushina's house yesterday, Uchihasuke figured out one thing. Although his number of Mangekyo tubes has shortcomings, the Gashin body can only seal a single target. At the same time, it has restrictions on itself during the operation, and the power of the right eye's Ten no Gaku is also exaggerated. However, this does not mean that he is not capable of fighting. Don't forget, he still holds more than 110,000 emotional points in his hands. If forced to do so, Uchihasuke can convert more than 110,000 emotional points into combat power in an instant, without having to keep them to exchange for Eternal Mangekyo. Eternal Mangekyo is only the highest priority redemption level, which does not mean that Uchihasuke must follow this order. There was absolutely no need for him to be so cautious. Besides, if you are really in danger, Uchihasuke can also redeem the space-time coexistence shadow clone technique. Even with the worst plan, Sarutobi Hiruzen took Jiraiya and Namikaze Minato to besiege him, but they couldn't keep him. 110,000 emotional points are completely enough for Uchihasuke to exchange all the shadow clone technique and complete body's virtual energy for the coexistence of time and space. At that time, Uchihasuke could still fight even if he faced them directly, let alone running away. The only thing Uchihasuke lacks now is battle experience, that's all. Wanting to understand this, Uchihasuke didn't hesitate to use the godly body directly on Hyaga Hayashi. It is true that the divine body is his trump card, but it is not his only trump card. In other words, Uchihasuke didn't expect that he was that powerful before. Before reviving his memory, he had been an ordinary ninja in Konoha for more than 10 years. It can be said that he grew up hearing about the power of Sarutobi Hiruzen and the achievements of Namikaze Minato. Even after recovering his memory, he still more or less maintained the inertia of his previous thinking and the halo filter he used when watching anime. Until he and Orochimaru overthrew Sarutobi Hiruzen and made Orochimaru the fourth generation Hokage. Uchihasuke seemed to have something broken in his heart. The plot is not the only one. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Namikaze Minato are not invincible either. Nowadays, Doesn't Namikaze Minato lose his position as Hokage? Uchiha looked at Hyuga Hayashi, who had cold sweat on his forehead, and Uchiha Fugaku, who dared not look at him, and smiled happily, his white teeth shining in the light. Now, are you ready to accept my benefits? I forgive your disrespect, and I will give you a way to survive. Uchiha deliberately showed weakness to his enemies just to anger them, so that he would have an excuse to take action. As the saying goes, etiquette first and then attack, and division leads to fame. This way, even if other people in Konoha knew about it, they wouldn't say anything. The reason why Uchiha has come around in such a big circle is simple. His current strength has not reached the level that he could cover the sky with one hand in Konoha. In the final analysis, the emotional value is not enough. If Uchiha Rinnegan adds 10 tails Jinchuriki now, and then opens the Otsutsuki bloodline, why would he need to do so much? Anyone who dissatisfied can be slapped in the face and that's it? I still have to work hard at night Kushina, for the sake of my strength, I can only wrong her. Uchiha did some calculations and based on his current emotional income of 5,000 to 6,000 a day. It only takes him 10 days to gain more than 50,000 emotional points. In less than half a month, 200,000 emotional points can be collected. At that time, he will be able to redeem the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Assistant Hokage, the Uchiha clan will gather the ninjas on time tomorrow, Uchiha Fugaku said with his head lowered. The Hyuga clan will also send out ninjas as requested. Hyuga Hayashi followed closely, trembling. The complete loss of control over his body filled him with fear. At that moment, he felt that Uchiha could kill him with just a thought in his mind. This feeling of being completely controlled made his eyes full of fear when he looked at Uchiha again. At the same time, I couldn't help but sigh, is this the power of Mangekyo? Uchiha smiled without saying much, and the Mangekyo in his eyes gradually faded away. After Hyuga Hayashi regained control of his body, his legs softened and he sat on the ground with a plop. At this moment, Hyuga Hayashi didn't care about his own embarrassment. At this moment, he only felt lucky to survive the disaster. If it were before, Uchiha Fugaku would definitely not be able to help but laugh when he saw Hyuga Hayashi making such a gaffe. However, he was obviously not in the mood to pay attention to Hyuga Hayashi beside him at this time. Uchiha gave the two of them time to digest the information, and when they were almost done waiting, he pushed a document to the table. The two clan leaders have a task for you before they leave. Today, when you organize the ninjas of the two clans to gather tomorrow morning, you will also inform and summon the ninjas on this list. Hyuga Hayashi stood up respectfully and took the document with both hands. At this time, he no longer felt relaxed and comfortable as before entering this office. Every move was full of embarrassment and nervousness, just like when he was a child when he faced his father. Uchiha Fugaku also followed, looking at the document with Hyuga Hayashi's eyes. The document is a list of several pages. There are approximately 600 to 700 names recorded on it. If they just summoned ninjas, they wouldn't feel anything. But most of the people on this list have the same last name. Sarutobi. Asking for flowers. Please vote for reviews and data, family members. There will be data recovery update 6 tomorrow. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the list. Chapter 37. There are not only names on this list, but also a title column. Seeing the list in their hands, Hyuga Hayashi and Uchiha Fugaku subconsciously raised their heads and glanced at each other. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. When did the Sarutobi clan become so powerful? There are so many ninjas. Moreover, he still occupies so many important positions in Konoha. At the same time, they also had to admire Sarutobi Hiruzen's forbearance. When he was seized of power, he didn't even show his trump card. However, they were more frightened by Uchiha methods. Uchihasuke just took up the job as Hokage's assistant yesterday. In just one day, he obtained such detailed information that even Sarutobi Hiruzen's background was exposed. It's Assistant Hokage. We will notify all the ninjas on the list. Leave this matter to us. At this time, the two of them did not dare to have any opinions, let alone bargain. Uchihasuke looked at the two obedient people with a hint of regret in his eyes. It's really a pity. Hyuga Hayashi and Uchiha Fugaku were stunned when they heard Uchihasuke's voice. They didn't understand why Uchihasuke said that. However, when they looked up and saw Uchihasuke's playful smile, they understood instantly. What a pity. It's a pity that we didn't kill them, right? Feeling the bad taste in Uchihasuke's heart, the two of them felt terrified. This is not a Hokage assistant. He is clearly a devil in the skin of a boy. They were suddenly full of worries about their days in Konoha during Orochimaru's reign in the Hokage. Okay, now that the mission has been accepted, the two clan leaders should hurry up and go back to prepare. I don't want to see any of you being late tomorrow. Assistant Hokage, we will definitely ask the clan members to arrive in advance. Okay, please step back. Oh, by the way, Chief Fugaku took this document away before leaving and went back to handle it himself. After Uchihasuke finished speaking, he picked up a small pile of documents on the desktop. Uchiha Fugaku naturally did not dare to say anything more. After taking it, he looked at the documents curiously. The list just now made him feel hot, and he was afraid that Uchihasuke would give him another difficult task. However, when he saw the first page of the document, he was speechless. Konoha village residents reported violent law enforcement incidents by the Konoha guards. As the captain of the Konoha guards and the leader of the Uchiha clan, he is very aware of how his family enforced the law when they served as the Konoha guards. It would be nice to say that they enforced the law violently. However, neither he nor Hyuga Hayashi had any objection to the list just now, and they would not say anything about this complaint. Okay, Assistant Hokage, I will take care of it as soon as I can when I get back. Uchihasuke didn't speak, just waved his hand. The two of them immediately exited the Hokage office as if they had been released from prison. The moment they closed the door to Hokage's office, the two of them suddenly felt that the stone pressing on their hearts disappeared, and they let out a sigh of relief. Obviously Uchihasuke looks extremely young, but I don't know why Uchihasuke puts more pressure on them than when they face Sarutobi Hiruzen. They can't guess what is thinking in his head. In comparison, they are absolutely against Sarutobi Hiruzen. Innocent. While in the room, they didn't even dare to take a breath. Chief Fugaku, you Uchiha clan are really full of talents. It's just that I think Assistant Hokage doesn't seem to have a very friendly attitude towards the Fugaku chief. After coming back to his senses, Hyuga Hayashi laughed. He was embarrassed just now, but Uchihasuke was obviously a member of the Uchiha clan, and he treated Uchiha Fugaku with the same attitude, which made him feel a lot more balanced. Uchiha Fugaku's face was expressionless. Why did I remember that the Hyuga Hayashi clan leader was sitting on the ground just now? It takes 50 steps to laugh 100 steps. If you look at it, let Uchihasuke be the leader of the Uchiha clan. At least he has realized the long-standing ambition of the Uchiha clan. Now even if Uchihasuke is said to be the Hokage, I don't think many people will refute it. Bar. Look at you Fugaku, look at you again, Zuzugen. Humph. Uchiha Fugaku waved his hands and left. Hyuga Hayashi watched Uchiha Fugaku disappear at the end of the corridor. The smile on his face gradually faded. He looked down at the list in his hand and sighed again. After a moment of silence, he also left here. When they exited the office, they divided the list into two and each took a part. Gathering the ninjas of the Sarutobi clan is not an easy task. In other words, this task is more like a petition. Once you start, there's no turning back. In the future, even if Sarutobi Hiruzen returns to Konoha, they can only stand on Uchihasuke's side. However, they don't want to offend Uchihasuke more than they want to offend Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen is visibly old, and his strength is far less than when he was young. Sarutobi Hiruzen is no longer the Grand Master of the 5 ninjutsu series. And Uchihasuke is still young, starting Mangekyo Sharingan at only 16 years old. Even the former Uchiha Madara didn't open Mangekyo Sharingan at this age. And Uchihasuke understands people's hearts better than Uchiha Madara. Sarutobi Hiruzen can't match this sophisticated method. What's ridiculous is that Sarutobi Hiruzen still wants to keep his reputation secret and avoid being sharp for the time being. He even thought about finding his place again after the war was over. As everyone knows, one step back will lead to another step back. Perhaps before the war is over, Sarutobi Hiruzen will have completely lost the ability to lift the table. Before, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought too much and didn't dare to lift the table. And then, even if he tried to lift the table, he couldn't. Please give me flowers, big guys, please give me some data. Come with some flowers, monthly tickets, and evaluation votes to make the author happy. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 38. The whole morning. Uchihasuke is working on documents in the Hokage office. From the unfamiliarity at the beginning, it gradually became more comfortable. Uchihasuke simply piled those trivial documents aside without even looking at them. It mainly deals with Konoha's economic construction, financial investment, and war-related information. After 2 days, Uchihasuke discovered that he was quite talented in handling official duties, and his speed was getting faster and faster. Uchihasuke was busy until the afternoon, and he didn't stop until 3 figures entered the office. Silver white hair, a forehead protector worn diagonally, a black mask, and 2 men wearing green tights, one large and one small. Kakashi, Might Die, and Might Guy. After a day of running around, the 3 of them returned to Konoha this afternoon. Assistant Hokage. The 3 of them already knew Uchihasuke's identity while they were on the road. Hearing the sound, Uchihasuke put down the pen in his hand, raised his head and looked at the 3 people in front of him with a smile. Uchihasuke's eyes first focused on Kakashi. At this time, Kakashi was also looking at Uchihasuke. Kakashi's heart was full of emotion, and he thought of the scene where he met Uchihasuke for the first time at the Ichiraku ramen stall. At that time, Uchihasuke was just a little-known figure. He never expected that the next time they met, Uchihasuke would suddenly become the most powerful figure in Konoha. There are even rumors that Uchihasuke is the real Hokage, and Orochimaru is just an empty name. Seeing Uchihasuke sitting in Hokage's seat, Kakashi believed that there was no difference between the facts and the rumors. Kakashi, how are your eyes recovering? Are you feeling any discomfort? Thank you, Assistant Hokage, for your concern. My eyes are fine, but Kakashi is not a member of the Uchiha clan and does not understand the relationships within the Uchiha clan, so he did not say everything. However, Kakashi didn't need to say anything. Uchihasuke knew what he was thinking and smiled. Don't worry, you don't have to worry about your eyes. Since the eyes were left to you by your companion, they are your eyes now. If Uchiha Fugaku comes to see you again, you can tell me my name directly. Thank you, Assistant Hokage, Kakashi said seriously this time. You're welcome. You are my genius in Konoha, so naturally you have the privileges of being a genius. Kakashi did not continue to reply, but his eyes were filled with gratitude. After he replaced Obito's eyes some time ago, there was an extremely fierce protest in Konoha. Uchihasuke's promise gave him a lot of peace of mind. Uchihasuke chatted with Kakashi for a few more words, and then turned his attention to Might Die. Might Die, I brought you back this time because the Mist Ninja is about to attack. I wonder if you have confidence. Assistant Hokage, I am just a genin. Can I handle such an important matter? If it were anyone else, I would definitely be suspicious, but if it was Might Die, I'm at ease. In my opinion, Might Dai is an extremely good ninja. Really, Might Dai was extremely excited when he heard this. He trains hard and trains desperately, isn't it just to gain the recognition of others? Even if he doesn't know ninjutsu and only knows taijutsu, he can become a great ninja. He never expected that the new Hokage would recognize him so quickly, and he almost cried. Yes, at this moment, no matter what others say, in his eyes, Uchiha is Hokage. Father, that's great. Finally someone recognizes us. I'm so happy. Haha, guy, to celebrate today, let's go run around Konoha 10 times, no, 20 times. Okay dad. I'm going to do 2000 more push-ups. Uchiha smiled and did not disturb the father and son. Compared to Sarutobi Hiruzen, he quite likes pure people like Might Dai and Might Guy. Kakashi felt quite embarrassed on the side and subconsciously moved a small step to the side. However, what happened today made his feelings towards Uchiha undergo a huge change. There are rumors in the outside world that Uchiha is a devil, but he feels that Uchiha is quite kind. After a moment, Uchiha spoke. You should go back and rest first. We will gather at the gate of the Death Forest at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then you will follow me to the Mist Ninja front line. Understood, Assistant Hokage. Haha, Kakashi and I can fight side by side again. Then we will have a competition to see who kills more enemies. Kakashi just rolled his eyes at Might Guy and didn't reply. After a while, they left. Soon only Uchiha was left in the Hokage office. However, Uchiha did not continue to process the files this time. Instead, he slumped in the Hokage seat and leaned on his back in a daze. After a long time, Uchiha suddenly thought of something and turned to look at a crystal ball on the table. Looking at the crystal from afar. You've worked hard all day, why don't you take a break? Look where Kushina is now, I don't know if Kushina is home now. When driving Sarutobi Hiruzen out of the Hokage office, Uchiha paid special attention to one thing, and that was to leave the far view crystal behind. The telescope technique is not complicated and mainly relies on the special ability of looking into the crystal ball. Uchiha quickly mastered it. After mobilizing the chakra, Uchiha dropped the telescope technique at Kushina's home. Through the window, there was no one in the room. Not home yet. Then Uchiha thought about Kushina, Kurane, and the others going out, and guessed that they might be shopping now. So Uchiha turned the screen and looked at the commercial street, but Uchiha still didn't see Kushina. Looking aimlessly like this is too inefficient. So, Uchiha began to study Konoha's barrier. Through the barrier of Konoha, Uchiha quickly sensed Kushina's aura. The main reason is that the power of 9 tails on Kushina is too obvious, and the huge chakra is as conspicuous as a firefly in the dark night. Uchiha didn't think much and turned the camera around. Soon, a scene shrouded in clouds and mist appeared on the screen. Kushina is now taking a bath in the hot spring, and Uchiha's eyes light up. What made him even more unexpected was that the 3 people in the picture were not the 3 people he imagined, but 4 people. Thank you all for the flowers today, hereby add another update. Tomorrow the number of flowers will reach 18,366, and we will continue to add more. Asking for data, evaluation votes, monthly votes, flowers. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 39. Today, Kushina and Uchiha Mikoto were very relaxed and happy playing together. Before Uchiha became Hokage's assistant, although Konoha had greatly relaxed the surveillance of Kushina, it also eliminated the secret post in Kushina's home. But if Kushina leaves the confines of her home, she will still be followed by Umbu ninjas or root ninjas from time to time. In name, he was protecting her, but it felt really bad to be stared at like this, as if she was a prisoner, very uncomfortable. So all this time, Kusina rarely leaves home. But now that no one was watching her, she felt the freedom of being a free person everywhere in Konoha. In addition, she no longer had to worry about her affair with Uchihasuke being discovered. Kusina seemed to have no shackles on her body and her laughter continued all day long. Kurane and Anko also had a good time, because today it was Uchiha Mikoto, a wealthy man, who paid for it. Normally, they wouldn't be able to be as luxurious as they are today. Not to mention the private hot spring in the private bathing area. They stayed inside for a long time before leaving here and getting ready to have dinner. Unexpectedly, they met Uchihasuke waiting as soon as they walked out of the gate. "Suke, you came to me." Kusina's eyes lit up, and she threw herself directly into Uchihasuke's arms, ignoring the surprised looks of the three people behind her. "Well, I'm done with my work. I came directly to find you after I found out you were here." Uchihasuke smiled and hugged Kusina's waist. One thing to say, what Uchihasuke likes most about Kusina is her gorgeous and smooth red hair and her slender waist. I don't know if it's because Kusina is from the Uzumaki clan, or if it's because she's a Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Not only is Kusina's waist thin, but she can also twist better than a water snake, making his legs weak. Uchiha Mikoto saw Uchihasuke and wanted to say hello, but stopped when he saw Kusina rushing towards Uchihasuke. Looking at everything in front of him, Uchiha Mikoto had a trance in his eyes. In her eyes, Uchihasuke has always been her younger brother. Unexpectedly, in a sudden moment, Uchihasuke suddenly grew up, and even grew to a point she could not imagine. "Mikoto-san, hello," and Anko and Miss Kurane. Uchihasuke just hugged Kusina and waved generously to the three people behind Kusina. "Do you mind if I join you and have dinner with you?" Uchihasuke said, his eyes swept across the three of them, but, subconsciously stopped in some places for half a second. "Let's eat together. It will be more lively if there are more people. Sister Mikoto pays for it anyway." Anko saw that Uchihasuke was a little unhappy, but he did not refuse. Kurane felt Uchihasuke's gaze and subconsciously felt her body getting hot. For some reason, she always had the feeling that Uchihasuke had seen through her, as if she had no clothes on. Uchiha Mikoto also felt that there was something different in Uchihasuke's eyes, but she couldn't tell exactly what was different. "Suke, why don't you come with us when you come? We haven't had dinner together for a long time." Mikoto smiled softly. While Uchihasuke and the others were talking, Uchiha Itachi also walked out of the hot springs. Uchiha Itachi did not take a bath with Mikoto and the others. Although Uchiha Itachi was still very young, they still felt it would be inappropriate. At the same time, Itachi felt that women were really troublesome, and couldn't they just take a bath in a hot spring? Why did it take so much time? He was almost bored to death waiting on the sidelines. "I will never go out with my mother and her girlfriends again. A boring afternoon like this might as well be training." Uchiha Itachi doesn't like training, but he hates shopping with women more than training. It's so torture, so painful. Just after walking out of the hot springs, Uchiha Itachi also saw Uchihasuke. After hearing the conversation between Uchihasuke and his mother, Uchiha Itachi learned the identity of Uchihasuke. Uchiha Itachi didn't know why, but suddenly thought of what Anko said before. Itachi raised his head and subconsciously began to look at Uchihasuke. "It seems, I do look a lot like him." Uchiha Itachi kept staring into Uchihasuke's eyes. "Sister Mikoto, is this Itachi?" Itachi was indeed very cute when he was young. "Come and call me uncle," Uchihasuke said with a smile. "Itachi is indeed very cute, and he is much better behaved than you were when you were a child." Uchiha Mikoto also smiled. "Itachi, come here and call uncle." After Uchihasuke became Hokage's assistant, the close brother-sister relationship between Uchiha Mikoto and Uchihasuke seemed to have returned. This is not to say that Uchiha Mihan sees Uchihasuke become developed. But the previous Uchiha was too weak, and Uchiha Mikoto didn't want to cause trouble to Uchiha. She was just helping Uchiha secretly, and now Uchiha doesn't have to worry about any trouble. Because Uchiha is now one of the most powerful people in Konoha, he naturally has no worries. As for Uchiha Fugaku, if Fugaku is not happy, then let him be unhappy. In Uchiha Mikoto's memory, Uchiha Fugaku has been avoiding her intentionally or unintentionally since they got married, and the rooms are divided into inner and outer rooms. The two have always treated each other with respect. However, since the last time he was angry, Uchiha Mikoto has given all his attention to Uchiha Itachi. During this time, I often went out with Anko Kushina and the others, and stayed at home all the time. She also dresses beautifully and looks much younger. Uncle. Uchiha Itachi heard his mother's cry and came over and shouted obediently. Itachi, you must always listen to mother from now on. Uchiha smiled and rubbed Itachi's head. Uchiha Itachi was very cute when he was little, but he was a pain in the ass when he grew up. Uchiha Itachi always felt that there was something in Uchiha words, but he had no proof. Thank you all for the flowers, please give me flowers, please give me flowers. This chapter contains some spoilers. Don't worry, there won't be any green. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 40. The starry night fell, and stars filled the entire Konoha sky. Although it is wartime now, the atmosphere in Konoha will be much cooler. However, Konoha is not entirely composed of ninjas, there are also an extremely large number of ordinary people. The change of Hokage's position has also given a new look to the scene in Konoha village. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen has ruled Konoha for so long that people already feel tired. After the young and powerful Orochimaru took over, there was a change in their hearts and they were full of expectations for the future. In addition, Mito Kato Homura and Yudatan Koharu were defeated in the past 2 days, which diverted the attention of the Konoha people and vented the long-suppressed negative emotions in the hearts of the Konoha people. As a result, there were many more villagers walking on the commercial street these 2 nights. Sister Mikoto, I've thought about it, let's eat meatballs tonight. When passing by a meatball shop, Anko couldn't walk. Meatballs, Mikoto hesitated. No matter how she looked at the meatball shop, it didn't look like a regular dinner. Anko, if you want to eat meatballs, we can buy some to take away. We can't let everyone eat meatballs tonight, Hong hugged Anko and said softly. The meatballs are so delicious, why doesn't everyone like to eat them? Anko was a little confused. Kushina just leaned in Uchiha-suke's arms, tilting her head and smiling as she watched everything happening in front of her. Since Anko likes eating meatballs, let's have dinner at this restaurant tonight. It doesn't matter what we eat. On the contrary, who we eat with is what makes us happy, Uchiha-suke said. Suke, I recognize you, and now I declare that I forgive you for taking away my teacher. Anko jumped up happily, looking like he didn't care about the past, which made Uchiha-suke laugh. Gee, you are too spoiled to Anko, Hong said from the side. Let's go have barbecue tonight, Anko. I'll buy you some meatballs. Just wait for me, Mikoto said. Mikan, I'll go with you, Hong said. I'm going to, I want to buy 3-color meatballs, I want to buy fish balls, I want to buy. Anko followed closely, mouthing non-stop. Not long after, only Uchiha-suke and Kushina were left in front of the Mariko-chan restaurant. Seeing Mikoto and the others fully enter the store, Kushina gently stood on tiptoes and put her mouth to Uchiha-suke's ear. Gee, do you like red? Huh? What? Gee, I kept looking at you secretly behind Hong today. Upon hearing this, a hint of embarrassment flashed across Uchiha's face. Because Kushina was right, he did look at Hong's back many times just now. Especially looking at the roundness behind Hong, I couldn't help but take a few more glances. Obviously it doesn't look very big, but why was it so full when I used the telescope technique? I'm afraid, this is the legendary peach. No. No, Kusina, don't slander me. Is it true? Jijun, you can't lie to me. No, Uchihasuke remained firm. Although I saw it, I will never admit it. As long as I don't admit it, I'm not watching. Kusina's tough-tongued Uchihasuke finds it particularly fun. After waiting for a moment, Kusina said leisurely. Oh, that's a pity. I thought Jijun liked Hong very much. Uchihasuke's ears moved, but he didn't speak. Kusina laughed and continued, Jijun, I have a very good relationship with Hong. I originally thought that in the future Hong would benefit others, so she might as well benefit you, but I didn't expect that Jijun doesn't like Hong, so forget it. Huh, Uchihasuke felt something change in him when he heard this, and Siosuke actually stood up. Uchihasuke had to admit that after Kusina finished speaking, his heart moved. However, Uchihasuke's heartbeat was not what Kusina said, but her heartbeat was red. If it's a red Z, the feeling must be beyond imagination. The next second, a black shadow flashed in front of Uchihasuke's eyes. Uchihasuke soon felt that Siosuke was suddenly attacked. Although the attack came and disappeared quickly, it was indeed attacked, and the target of the attack was Kusina beside him. Jijun, you are dishonest. You said you have no idea. Kusina stared with beautiful eyes, but there was no accusation in her tone, more of coquettishness. Uchihasuke smiled awkwardly. After all, this scene of being caught was indeed a bit embarrassing. But Uchihasuke still has some confusion in his heart. I don't understand why Kusina said that just now. Normally, don't women have strong exclusiveness among themselves? Kusina seemed to notice what Uchihasuke was thinking, and gave Uchihasuke a charming look. Who told Mr. G to be like an animal, tireless like a teddy, and do that when we first meet him? Although Kusina is very happy, her relationship with Uchihasuke is public, and Uchihasuke can also be in her home openly. But, if this happens every day, Kusina feels like she will break down. After all, there is no break every time today to give her some time to recover. At the same time, Kusina's heart was filled with questions. Normally, wouldn't there be only exhausted cows and no damaged fields? Why is it different here at Uchihasuke? Also, she is from the Uzumaki clan, which is famous for its power of life. Why? Kusina didn't want to be sluggish all day long in the future, and she was pregnant, so Kusina took precautions and started looking for teammates. The first thing she thought of was Kurane, and Uchihasuke secretly glanced at Kurane from time to time, which further deepened her thoughts. At this time Uchihasuke also came to his senses. He suddenly remembered that the Hokage ninja world is not monogamous, but most ninjas are monogamous. Presumably, this situation occurs because of some irresistible three-dimensional harmony. After all, ninja is a high-risk profession. Normally, it is more reasonable to have more children and more blessings. Of course Kusina has this idea, mostly because of Uchihasuke's physical strength. Just when Uchihasuke was about to say something to Kusina, Anko and the others' happy voices came from the store. Thank you all for the flowers, please give me flowers, please give me flowers. Guys, please give me flowers. The number of evaluation votes has exceeded 300. More updates tomorrow.